Welcome to The Curve Weekly, where we read the finance news so you don't have to. I'm Vic Harris. I'm a finance professional and I've made a career out of making money for other people.
And I'm Sophie Hallwright. I am a ex-producer of TV, radio. I just was really sick and tired of not knowing what's going on, so we created this podcast. In today's episode, the first thing we speak about is what is going on with oil and the war, and actually, quite interestingly, what is all of the drama and sneaky stuff that's going on in the prediction markets as a result of that.
One of the biggest music companies in the world is about to be taken over, and we talk about why this is such an attractive space at the moment.
Weight loss drugs. We've spoken about this quite a lot. There's a huge innovation that's just happened, which means that so many more people are going to have access and probably want to take this drug. What does it mean not only for this space as an investing opportunity, but all of the adjacent investing opportunities that are popping up as a result of more people flocking to these drugs?
We also have a new Netflix series that might be about to start in the AI space as Elon Musk and OpenAI go head-to-head in court. But before we jump in, we have a bit of an apology.
Quite a serious one.
Look, I think we need to start this podcast with a bit of an apology.
Oh God, what are we apologising for?
I think we've upset a few people.
Have we?
Yes.
Oh God, who? Are you being, I can't tell if this is fully
This is
serious.
serious. We really hurt a lot of people. Just don't really know how to apologise for this, to be honest.
What have we done? I'm like really worried.
I don't know about you, but I have had a lot of friends message me after last week's episode.
Oh.
And I'm really sorry. And I know that Soph's sorry too. We're both sorry for anyone that's been offended. But I stand by the fact that Allbirds are not an attractive shoe.
I was honestly so worried about what we'd done but that's hilarious. Yeah, there's been so many people messaging saying, F you, I have Allbirds shoes.
People have sent me photos of their feet being like, I was listening to the podcast while I was wearing my Allbirds. And they do have different styles, thank you. And
oh my God, okay, right. So actually maybe we're the
fake news.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, right. For anyone who has Allbirds and stands by their hideous woolen shoes, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. One friend even was like, if you need an Allbirds expert to come on the podcast. And
Stop it. That's so funny.
So, yeah, apologies, but kind of not apologies.
I don't think we're apologising. I'm feeling pretty confident. I will say completely honestly, having a podcast and talking is quite an alarming high risk career, I would say, because not only do I say really stupid things a lot of the time, I'm also not a finance expert, and I feel honestly I'm teetering on the edge of being like completely hung out to dry at some point for accidentally saying the wrong thing. When you started saying that, I was like,
You're like, oh gosh.
Oh my God, it's happened. Because like we don't mean to, but you actually can't get it right all the time. But like I definitely will not be apologising for saying Allbirds are ugly.
And you know what? They'll probably be a collector's item soon. So like all those people, will probably be a great investment down the track.
Honestly, that is so funny. I can't believe how many people were like,
excuse me.
Yeah. I did see someone that said they found it funny. Like they were like, I still love them, but pretty hilarious. I was like, okay, great. Well, at least you can see the light side to that. I think the proof's in the pudding here, Vic.
Totally.
The business is totally tanked. So like if the designs were amazing, that business would be flying.
And if they were, a massive trend and people were buying them and more people buying them, then their sales would go up and they wouldn't have these issues. So yes.
100%. Vic, I'm broadcasting live from the depths of the country in England.
In Devon.
I'm living my best country life. I must say, it's stunning out here, like so beautiful. I'm in like rolling hills, many sheep,
just like New Zealand, just like home.
But like, it's just like so quintessential what you would imagine from like British countryside.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous. I'm staying at my boyfriend's parents' house and they've got these 2 dogs called Dido and Toast.
Dido.
I know. Isn't that the best dog name you've ever heard?
Eminem. Imagine just yelling it in the park. Dido. Dido.
So this is the thing, like every day and every morning they bark like you've never heard 2 dogs bark, like, and you just hear his mum outside, Dido, Toast, shut up. So funny. You know, they've put the dogs in a field like over so that we can't hear them barking in the back of the podcast recording.
Unlike you are so quiet, aren't you, Miso?
Is Miso there?
She's here.
Hi, Miso. For anyone that does want to watch this episode on YouTube, Emily, our wonderful producers, just said, we used to promote our YouTube heaps and we haven't lately. Can you please? And I thought, sure, because actually where I am right now, the lighting is looking great. I've positioned myself up by my country window. You can see inside the gorgeous little countryside home I'm in, and Vic's in the studio in London. So if you would like to watch this as a video, we now record very high spec, don't we? You could almost put it on and relax into it like it's a film. So, you know, there's that option.
And you could even listen to us on 0.7 times if you want.
Don't do that. Do not do that. We sound absolutely like we've had a bender for days.
But we have an update.
Oh, God.
I think this should be a bit of a running segment until it's not. Markets are up.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oil's down. Ceasefire's kind of probably happening. There seems to be end in sight for the war, but maybe not. It changes every week. Airline stocks are up. So things are looking a bit more positive than last week, I would say. Oil fell by its biggest move in a day in like recent history, and it fell about $20. So hopefully we are on the way.
It's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? So for anyone that saw, I mean, Trump, you know, put up that pretty horrendous, outrageous post about essentially eradicating the entire population. I mean, I just was like, this is the president of the United States. What the hell is going on anyway? What flowed on from that was they're now in negotiations about hopefully the war stopping. And you literally, as soon as that was announced, the stock market rebounded, didn't it? It was almost like instantaneous. I mean, whether or not the war stops, which obviously everyone hopes for, regardless of what it is doing to the economy, like for that to be over would be
amazing.
Such a relief. And hopefully what we'll see roll out. But I don't know. I just wanted to hear your thoughts, Vic, on the idea that he's obviously trying to decrease oil prices. He's obviously trying to get access to the Strait of Hormuz so that he can get oil for the US. And he obviously is wanting to manipulate the American stock market so that it's not plummeting like it was when we were last doing this podcast record. What do you think we're going to see play out in terms of the markets? I know we have no idea what Trump's going to do, but I don't know, like the fact that airlines like Delta went up by 12%, American Airlines 11%, like that's a huge rebound off not even the war ending. I don't know. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, those airlines have fallen massively, right? So 11%, it's a good sign, but it's not a huge move. Like markets are forward looking. So any indication of the opening up of the Strait of Hormuz is like going to be positive for stock markets, for the world, for inflation. But there is, and I actually was like talking to a guy who works for, one of the biggest French oil companies in the world. And he's like, yeah, we all got evacuated out of the Middle East, and now they're kind of slowly going back. But he's like, they've stopped all production. Like there is no war's over. Cool, we go back to normal oil prices. He's like, this is going to take over 3 months once the war ends for the backlog, for oil facilities that have been closed down to reopen, for people to go back to the Middle East. Like this is not like an overnight thing, but this is what I mean. Markets are forward looking. So they know all that. And so it's like, if there is an end in sight, then the share price moves before everything else economic wise, like in terms of inflation, in terms of, actual goods and services, like the markets move first. So we've got like a lag when it comes to inflation, because inflation is the actual price of goods, and that takes time to get through the system. You know, if oil prices increased, let's take airlines, for example, airline prices go up, people feel the pinch, like that leads to inflation. Like that's a lagging indicator, which is what we call it. And then like a forward indicator is things like the stock market. So it will end. Whether it will be next week or next year, I don't know. But if it's next year, there's going to be some serious, serious pain. And I think that's what Donald Trump doesn't want happening, because it's going to impact not only the stock market, which he's, very much aligned to doing well, but also for everyday consumers. So it's in everyone's best interest that the war ends.
Let's say the war, they come to a ceasefire and, the war is over and they've agreed on what's happening with the oil and who has access to what, and that happens. But then we see this flow on, because even now, if everything opened back up, you're saying there's a 3-month lag, obviously that's going to flow in so many ways. Is the stock market reacting, saying we already know that, but because there's an end in sight, we're comfortable that even though we're going to have to go through all of this turmoil and so many consumers, and like there'll be lack of access to oil for a long time, that's okay because at least the war's over.
And it's only short term. It's only a short term impact. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Like as in all those things you're talking about flow on are not long term. But if the war continued for another 9 months, the flow ons from that could be so detrimental that the stock market reacts in a way that they're like, no, these impacts now are long term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, spot on. It's like the stock market can look through, a company's earnings or profits being impacted for, 1 month, 2 months, a quarter. But when this starts being more long-term, more systemic, starts like businesses actually having to shut down, but, like that's more permanent stuff happening, job cuts, like all of that starts happening, that's way more impactful and has more of a long-term impact than the oil price just being high for a couple of months.
One of the things I thought was quite interesting is the idea that, in the last, I don't know if it's 12 months, but recently the European stock market was kind of doing quite well. And now it's doing terribly. Is that because they rely so much on power from offshore? Like what's going on with that? Because when we've been talking about, everyone's a bit worried about Trump and the stock market. So people have been diversifying to other stock markets. And I don't know, I'm not really sure what's going on there, but for people who may have diversified and gone, okay, I'm a bit scared of the US, I'm going to put money elsewhere. It was doing kind of well and now it's not so much. So
there's no European stock market, there's like, because Europe is, there's like Spain, France, they've all got their individual, the UK stock market. There's a UK stock market, and then there's like Asia was doing really well. So the Japanese, Korea, though those stock markets were doing super, super well last year, end of last year, those countries are the most reliant on oil out of the Middle East.
Oh, so it's not Europe, it's actually Asia.
Yeah, and the UK is as well, because the UK is a very energy hungry country and we don't have our own supply here. Like UK growth forecasts for next year have been slashed. We've had interest rates, which are supposed to go down, have now been on hold. You've got to be really, really careful here, because if we get into a period of what we call stagflation, which is when we've got low growth in countries but high inflation, you kind of can't really do anything with interest rates, because if you reduce them, inflation will take off.
Oh, shit.
If you increase them, that's going to impact the growth in the economy. So you're kind of like, what do we do? You got to be super, super. It's a really, really stressful and tough space to be in is in stagflation. And so that's kind of what they're trying to avoid with all this oil chat.
Okay, cool. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you about is we've spoken about this quite a bit, like the poly markets or Kalshi, the alternative stock, not stock markets, sorry, like prediction markets where people are God, my language. Still the jury's out on whether this is betting or investing, but can we talk about what happened with potentially insider trading happening in this space? Because when I saw a headline on this, I did a bit of digging and I was like, oh my God, this has existed forever. Like this isn't just coming up because of the alternative market. So can you maybe just give an overview of what has happened with people making money on like the outcome of the war stopping and what what that means?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, I think when we were first talking about this, we spoke about there's like a moral side, right? It's like, I'm going to make money off the war continuing, like it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to make money off, this many people dying. Like it's horrible. And so effectively people had made a lot of money on whether the ceasefire ended or didn't end, like they're making a lot of money out of the war. And it just seems a bit morally wrong. But then on the flip side, you can invest in defense stocks and make a lot of money off the back of war and people needing defense machinery and all of that. So it's kind of, how is this different? And I don't know. Yeah, there's just been a lot of money that's been made around announcements to do with the war and actions around the war.
Or like just geopolitical movements or things happening. And I think this is so interesting because, we've been talking the last few weeks about whether or not these prediction markets are betting. And there's 2 states in the US, Washington and Arizona, who are actually suing Kalshi, one of the alternative markets, because in one state they're not allowed to bet on the NBA or sports or any outcomes. So they're saying actually that Kalshi is breaking the law and allowing people to bet on sport. And then the same in Arizona, it was the idea of you're not allowed to make money or bet on elections because people were betting on who was going to win the Arizona elections. Anyway, I just think it brings up a really interesting question around, and I know you've said this before, Vic, around how do you regulate something like this? And is it the platform's fault? Are they the issue? Or actually is it just that there needs to be regulation around who can make money on what based on the information they have? Because if you're making money on when the ceasefire is going to end, do you have insider information? And what's the difference between that and someone, investing in Apple because they know that sales are going to go through the roof?
Yeah, I guess that's the crux of it, right? It's if you have inside information, should you be able to trade in a prediction market? And it's
surely the answer is no, right?
But then how do you, with a company reporting on the stock exchange, there is key people and to keep that information secret, and it's just financial information. To keep that information secret if you're a key person of influence, and therefore, you can't insider trade on that information. Whereas the prediction markets are so broad. It can be pop culture, it can be the Oscars, it can be, it's not just financial information as a result of companies that are public companies on the stock market, which is such a narrow thing to control and be you're a CEO, you're a CFO, you might be chief product officer or whatever, and investor relations. So you guys are the key people that if this information leaks, it's on you. And also that means that you have to release it quickly to the public. And
it's where does it stop in terms of how do you regulate?
Totally. Because if you take a regular sports betting platform, there might be someone that's friends with LeBron James and he knows he's injured and he's going to lose the Lakers game or whatever. That's inside information, in my opinion. But do you know what I mean? Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, but I think that's exactly what I mean. I just think it's so weird that we can have such strict and clever regulations around business who can and can't insider trade. But then why are we not having the same? Why can't we put parameters in place so that people can and can't invest or vote or whatever on outcomes where that obviously private information? There was a case in 2024 I was reading about, and there was 15 people that essentially bet on the outcome, some political outcome in the UK, and someone sniffed a rat and said there's something dodgy going on here. And then they did an investigation and now all those people are being charged. Why can we not have the same type of regulation around all this other stuff?
Well, politics and business, there's these key defining events, right? Whereas if you think of having to regulate every sports game around the world, reporting season in the US is key periods of time. There's, and you can see trades and you can see people that have made them and you can see, I don't know, I think it's just, you wouldn't be able to police every, and then there's still people that insider trade in the stock market, and that they think there's ones that get away with it and there's ones that don't. You can only police, I guess, the cost versus the benefit, right? the cost of policing sports betting platforms, prediction markets, all of that versus, the impact on society.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting. And it's like, it definitely blurs the lines, right? Because it's like you can invest in defense companies and make lots of money off the back of when war breaks out, but you can't participate in a prediction of when the war's going to end, like if that was kind of how it was going to go down. But also I've been looking at the prediction markets to see when do people think the war is going to end? I've been using it as an information gathering tool for like, okay, what is the most expected release of Tesla cars next quarter? Like all of that kind of stuff. I'm not using it as like a make money tool, but as an information gathering, it's, as they get bigger and bigger, they could actually help sway investing decisions in a roundabout way, if that makes sense. I think it's innovative, and like a lot of things, like they pivot, there's regulation, they see an opportunity, then regulation comes in, they pivot to something else. I don't know. Yeah, it's always adapting and evolving. And
well, I mean, speaking of that, Victoria Harris, that's quite a good segue to this next story with Universal Music, isn't it? Because it's almost like kind of an innovative asset class.
So yes, so Universal Music is it has been taken over essentially. Well, there's been a bid for it. It's not never done. These things always take so long. But yes, Universal Music has had a takeover offer. So Universal Music, they're the record label that own the rights to Taylor Swift, Drake, Billie Eilish, like tons of artists that we know. And they're like the infrastructure that allows artists to distribute and monetize their music. They're one of the biggest music companies in the world. And why there is a takeover offer and so much interest in this is like, it's essentially a royalty stream on music. So whenever a Taylor Swift song is played, if it's on Spotify, if it's on an ad on TV, then a little bit of money goes back to Universal Music. And so the more good artists that they have, the bigger their backlog of artists, like old songs that resurge and get used for ads and in media campaigns and stuff, that a little bit of revenue goes back to Universal Music. And so it's an incredible business model. And as Spotify gets bigger and bigger and the access to music is made much more easy for people, that just goes straight into Universal Music's pocket.
It's almost like if you thought of other assets, like a dividend where you own it and then it pays you a little bit of money, or owning rental property and it pays you rental income. It's the idea of an asset constantly kind of paying out, or like, I don't know, like trailing revenue. Because I guess the idea here is that if all these artists, like if Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish and Drake and all of these like amazing artists continue to produce music, and then their music is hosted on these platforms and there's always a cut, like a royalty that goes back into Universal. It's like
they just sit there and clip the ticket.
It's almost like guaranteed revenue, isn't it? It's like they don't have to do anything. It's like passive.
Yeah. And as Spotify gets bigger, as YouTube gets bigger, it doesn't matter what platform people listen to the music. They don't really care about that. They don't, like the distribution, if that just continues to grow, that's great for them. It doesn't matter what platform. So yeah, they're sitting in a pretty sweet spot. But this was actually a company that was spun out of a big French media company only 5 years ago, and listed on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. And this is why it's had a takeover offer, because the person that's taken it over, he has about a 10% stake, and he has a hedge fund. So he has an investment company that it takes large stakes in public companies, and he has owned 10% of Universal for a while, and there is one big French billionaire shareholder in there who he's trying to get across the line to make changes. But one of the big changes is that he wants to move the listing from Amsterdam to the US, because he thinks being in Amsterdam is a disadvantage. There's not enough investors, not enough interest. If you put it on like a main stock exchange like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, then it's going to get a lot more interest. It's going to be valued a lot better. The share price will go up, like all of that stuff. So he just thinks it's been a bit of a forgotten child, and there's, when you do take over a business or make a takeover offer, you usually state like, these are the reasons why I think it can do better. And you're trying to sell that to shareholders, right? You're trying to sell the dream of like, look, if we move it to the US and we do this and we do that, your share price could triple in value. And then you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, let's do it. I'll do that.
I just wanted to ask, Vic, because this is a hedge fund, you said, right?
Yeah.
And normally hedge funds make quite high returns. The whole point is they're sort of like hedging their bets, right? So they're aiming for higher returns, like 12%, 15, like quite high.
Oh no, they're like hundreds of percent returns. Yeah.
Wow.
Hedge funds, it depends, right? Good ones. Because you're going with a hedge fund, the reason it's called a hedge fund is because you can go long or you can go short. And that means that you can buy shares in a business and do well when it does well, or you can effectively own shares in a business and do well when it doesn't do well. So they can go either way.
And so it's like amplifying good or bad returns is kind of like,
yeah. And you take like a hedge fund, you take very risky bets. Like this guy, he has a 10% shareholding in a, $60 billion company. So they're making, this is a $6 billion shareholding. Like they're making big chunky decisions when they make these moves, and they go kind of all in on a few things. They don't diversify around a lot, but they'll buy a position in a company and then do something like this where they create, multiple times more value, but they get in there, if that makes sense, and actually.
But that's kind of, I guess that's sort of my point is, when you're talking about Universal and its steady revenue, the idea that you're clipping a ticket on all of these artists' music, like that all makes sense to me. But it almost baffles me that they think, or I'd love to know, I guess, like your thoughts on, they're obviously buying this because they think they can get better returns in Universal than other big risky bets. Like what are they seeing here that in terms of a bigger trend, and like why is it that they're choosing this company?
Yeah, a lot of companies that are listed or public can not be valued right. So they could be like, people are missing, they're missing something, or they're like, there's this really great product that nobody actually realizes is that great, or they've got this huge opportunity but the CEO doesn't want to take advantage of it. There's so many things within companies. And so this is what he's trying to do. Bill Ackman is the guy, and he is trying to say, look, being listed in Amsterdam is doing you a complete disadvantage. Like there are so many people in the US that would invest in you if you were, listed on in a US stock exchange. You're also then compared to US companies, right? So you're compared to similar companies with higher valuations. So therefore, as a byproduct of that, you're valued at a higher price. He's also saying that people don't appreciate the relationship that Universal has with Spotify, and people don't appreciate the opportunity here. And so part of his role would be either getting a CEO in there that can really, drive things and make it better, or I guess selling it to shareholders that this is actually an incredible business. You don't understand, they could do this, and like the Spotify stake and like all of this, there's so many things.
But I just like, if you heard that though, if for example, this has gone public, so everyone knows his business plan and the reasons why he thinks he can make more money through this business if he buys it. Why wouldn't the existing shareholders, CEO, etc., just take on board what he's saying, and if they think it's a good idea, do it themselves?
They could, yeah, but he's already made a takeover offer now, so the shareholders will be like, well, hang on, why didn't you do it then? If you thought these ideas were great,
right? We've
been sitting here for years.
So people just like lose trust in the existing.
Yeah, and it's kind of just like it's like that. It's like that movie. Oh my God, what's that one where she like is the super geek, and then that popular guy dates her and like gives her a glow up, puts her, and then she comes down.
Never Been Kissed?
Oh no, it's the one. Oh my God, and she's like coming down the stairs. People probably like screaming.
Oh my God, what is it?
She's All That. You would remember.
God, I've not seen that movie.
You would so remember. Anyway, she's like, he has this dare about taking her to the prom, which is kind of like the storyline of every 90s movie.
Oh, yes.
And anyway, she's like this geeky artist, and then she comes down, she's had a glow up, and it's kind of like you could not realize your potential for ages until someone else kind of like makes you realize it, if that makes sense. So
Right. It's such a funny analogy.
you know, it's like you're the same product. Sorry, you're the same company. It's just you've just been
Someone's put you on a pedestal.
you've just had a little bit of a glow up, and
Look at her hair. Look at her outfit.
you just haven't realized your full
right.
potential. Exactly. Yeah,
So basically, this guy, the takeover guy, is almost like the hot.
he's Freddie Prinze Jr. Yeah,
He's Freddie Prinze Jr. and he's basically said, "You guys are all idiots for not wanting to take Universal to the prom." I actually think if we did X, she is hot, and then
and if we did all these little things, the glow up would be massive, and all of you would be so impressed. Like, trust me.
okay,
Yeah.
and so then basically the idea is that the shareholders, because he's offered a bid, the shareholders are like, okay, he knows what he's talking about, so I'm going to take that offer,
Yeah.
rather than trying to steal a date with her themselves.
Yeah. And there might be someone else that comes out of the woodwork. And, it could be Channing Tatum that's like, hang on, I reckon I can make her even,
Hotter.
yeah.
Okay, right. The other thing I feel is quite interesting just to point out is you were just talking earlier in this podcast about innovation and like innovation with investing and thinking about things differently. I do think that this is a really good example of that. No one really used to think of music. It was more art than an asset class. It's just kind of interesting to see like digital art become an asset
Yes.
and now real music become an asset. And there's just so many like little innovations, I think, and that's making investing in general way more interesting. It's not just invest in the stock market. There's actually so many other ways you can put money into something that could grow in value.
Yes. And I think there's such a tension here, like in the music industry specifically, is like Spotify controls the distribution. And the discovery, right? Like the algorithms, like all of that is like you're at the mercy of Spotify, really. It's like the number one player. But Universal holds most of the content. It's the largest player in terms of all the content, in terms of the actual music, the licensing, and all of that. So what I see, and it might not be in the near term, but I definitely think what will start happening is you start getting, we've seen it happen with the likes of Netflix wanting to buy Warner Brothers. In the media space, people are going more like are growing vertically. They're wanting to control everything from, not only the content, but the distribution, but like everything. And if I was Spotify, I'd be sitting here going, hang on a second, this could be
We should buy Universal.
this could be a perfect opportunity for us to chime in and but then you've got regulators, if you control the biggest music company with the biggest distributor, like artists would have probably, kittens. So it's like, you do have to be a bit careful, and there's probably companies that you just can't outright buy, but you may as well shoot your shot.
It's also so interesting though, because like the whole discoverability thing, it used to be so power to the people, and if someone's listening to some random artists in the middle of like that created their song in the backyard of Iceland and and then the song pops off, whereas there is so much more selection and curation around what people hear and how they hear it and being added to playlists and blah blah blah. So if you were then creating music internally, of course you're going to then push that music on your platform. It kind of changes the whole premise of online streaming, doesn't it?
And also it's like, it's funny because you do think that you're like, oh, I'm discovering this new artist, and like, you think, and it's like, no, that's been curated and fed
Added
to you.
to your hot hits, New Zealand and Australia. Yeah, totally.
It's like, oh my God, on TikTok I learned this new thing. It's like, no, they wanted you to see that. Like, you think you're being so independent and like,
oh, I hate it. We're absolute pawns.
we're absolute
aren't we?
lemmings.
Yeah.
One other, I guess, trend we've spoken about till the cows come home, but this just really fascinates me because I think it's just how much it is permeating into other areas and having other impacts than I ever thought were possible.
I'm so interested in this whole topic too. I think that you're right. It's like what we thought was a conversation about X has turned into a conversation about the entire alphabet.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. And it's really interesting because it's got me thinking, okay, well, what are we not seeing? What is the next thing? And like, yes, what we're seeing unfold now.
We haven't even told people what we're talking about. I love that we're like speaking in code. Everyone's like, what trend? What are we talking about?
It's the GLP-1 trend. We had an announcement this week that Eli Lilly, which is one of the biggest GLP-1 manufacturers has released a pill form. So previously you had to inject yourself, and now you can take a pill for these weight loss drugs.
I mean, think about the amount of people that wouldn't go near an injection for so many reasons. I mean, this just opens up it's almost like making it so mainstream and so accessible.
But yeah, I do worry with the pill form. It does open up to a whole lot of people that, you're right, wouldn't have wanted to do an injection. But Eli Lilly is the second player that's come out of the woodwork and has just like absolutely roofed it. And Novo Nordisk, who was the poster child for GLP-1 drugs, has just like absolutely fallen off a cliff. And now, releasing a pill form is just like salt in the wound. Like Novo Nordisk is absolutely on its knees. But
that was also one of the most, wasn't that one of the highest performing stocks last year?
It was in 2024, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. But the trend on the back of this trend is Ulta Beauty, which is one of the biggest beauty chains in the US, kind of like Sephora and Mecca. They've come out and sorry, this is not funny, but it's just like it's just how everything's been impacted by these GLP-1 drugs is crazy. And they're saying that hair loss and skin elasticity caused by rapid weight loss has driven a surge in demand for a lot of their beauty treatments. And they're just seeing this overwhelming demand for their products and those specific products in their stores. So it's kind of...
But I mean, think about it. If you lose a lot of weight, you're going to have a lot of excess skin.
Totally.
It makes total sense. I mean, how annoying to then have to deal with two new issues, i.e. going bald and also like wrinkling before your time. But of course, like it makes so much sense.
And like we spoke a few weeks ago around the whole extended, people wanting to extend their life and be a lot more like active and healthy in that kind of 20, 30, 40-year-old age group. Like you throw this on top of it, Ulta Beauty is just sitting there going, cha-ching.
Stunning. Pile in, everyone. We've got what you need for skin, what you need for hair.
Come here, GLP-1ers. Come here, old women still trying to look young and trying to, it's like, come here, people trying to extend their lives. It's honestly, they're in such a sweet spot. Well, that's why you see every famous person right now, every influencer launching a skincare brand and it's because the market is huge.
True.
The demand is there.
I think it's really, I fully agree with you. Going from injection to pill kind of scares me. Who else is going to be jumping on this that doesn't need it? But also the fact that only 6% of obese people in America are using it. There's obviously people who are scared either of injection or like it doesn't feel accessible. I mean, I know a lot of people who actually, and I mean older people, friends of parents, that probably should use it for health reasons.
Yeah, same.
But don't. So maybe this is a good thing for people that need the weight loss drug.
And I'm kind of hopeful that, like with anything, right? Like, and this is my hope, this is not based on any research or anything, but, when something new and exciting comes to the market, there is a bit of a craze. Everyone gets like excited or kind of over indexes on something. Like if we think about when they reduce the drinking age, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, amazing. I can go and everyone gets absolutely totaled. And then there's like almost like a calmness of like, okay, actually it's not cool. No, we need to be drinking responsibly. Yeah. And I'm just hoping that maybe this euphoria and, all the media and all the attention on this is just part of the process, and we get to a point where it's actually like being used for what it's supposed to be used for, and it's not cool, and it's not, and there's just a bit of a like aha moment.
We're having a hype moment.
Here's hoping.
It's so interesting. I saw this story about, have you heard, maybe you're all over it, but there was this guy, Matthew Gallagher, who was a founder of like a telehealthcare startup, and it was basically marketing the GLP-1 drug, and he started with like $20. He had no employees. He made like over $400 million in revenue last year, but he didn't like build the drug. He didn't have clinics. It was all basically marketing. Like he had these incredible marketing layers where he was essentially, and he's now being done for like AI generated ads that actually were misleading and, false marketing claims and blah, blah, blah. But to me, seeing that just is it's so obvious the market for people who still want to be skinny or want to have access to, like the fact that he doesn't even really have a business. He was just a marketing place.
Well, it's like when there's big opportunities, people take advantage, right? COVID with, hand sanitizer. People who had never made hand sanitizer before were like, you know what? I can sell hand sanitizer for $50.
This is my moment.
People get opportunistic, and when there's such hype and there's such demand, it's ripe for people taking advantage. So, yeah.
It'd be so interesting to see like how or what regulation will be put in place as well around like the marketing and what you can and can't say, and like the images you can and can't use, and the ages of people that are in that marketing. Because I think, they'll have to be so careful to not make it look even more appealing to people who don't need it.
Yeah. It's like advertising a financial product, can't guarantee returns or weight loss, and there's always risks.
But it's actually a good analogy, because it's also like high risk is not necessarily good for everyone, or low risk is not necessarily good for everyone. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, look, we're about to have another Netflix drama
Hit the screens?
The stock market, hit the news, hit the screens, yeah.
At what point are they going to start a Netflix doco about all of the shit going on in their business?
Oh, they've got to.
I mean, surely there's a producer internally that's like, this is stunning documentary making.
Yes. It just continues to evolve, though. They're probably like, and that's a season finale. Oh, no, it's still going.
That's the perfect type of documentary.
Totally, yeah. And we're up to season 27.
So what's happening in today's installment of our Netflix doco?
We have a trial that's about to start in a few weeks' time. On the 27th of April, we have Elon Musk suing OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT. It is Elon Musk suing OpenAI for about $100 billion in damages, because he initially invested in OpenAI when it was a not-for-profit, and then they changed to a for-profit structure, and he's saying that he got, that there needs to be compensation for that. Also, he has a little bee in his bonnet because he's got his own AI company, and so
I was literally about to say that.
OpenAI is saying, like, piss off, this is just a distraction tactic, like, you're just pissed off that we are doing so well, and rah. And so, but anyway, Elon is also saying that, all the winnings that he gets from the outcome of this court case, he'll give to charity. So he does have a little bit of a heart.
I know, but that's just I think he knows that he's behind in his research. Is it Grok? Yeah, Grok is like obviously not doing as well. He's trying to distract them so that they have to spend all this money on this giant lawsuit, and he's wanting as much PR for this case as possible. Yeah. And so he's saying, I'm going to donate this to charity. Like, he's got a good heart, like as if that's not the most self-serving thing ever. Like, let's not pretend that you care about charity.
I would hate to go up against Elon Musk in a court case. Like, he has the most endless pockets of anyone on the planet. Like,
I mean, you could make you would win any case.
Yeah. I'd be like, okay, yeah, which is, I don't know. He's got so much on as well. He's got a SpaceX IPO coming. He's still CEO of Tesla. He's got this court case. He's got his...
But surely he's just like, someone just deal with this court case. Distract them, make them use heaps of money so that it slows them down. I don't know. I think sometimes... Or maybe it's the more that I've learned about the stock market and like politics and how intertwined all this stuff is. There's so much beneath the surface with all of the stuff that hits the headlines.
It's like egos. It's ego.
It's trying to get the biggest, most expensive company they've got,
Yeah. I mean, it's fun for lawyers working on these deals. They get paid so much.
It's also fun to watch. Like, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. So yes, in a few weeks, this will all start unfolding, and we'll give you live updates. Not live, but...
Do you think Elon will be showing up to court? Like, how is this even going to work? Is it going to be Sam Altman, like, OpenAI, and Elon Musk actually in court? Like, what?
Probably. To some points of it, yeah.
Hopefully we get, like, clips, like media clips, and we can...
Oh, he'll go off on a tangent and say something about, like, he's kind of a bit Kanye West-esque. Just like, what are you going to say? I don't actually know what you're going to say. Like, nothing really makes sense.
He just fascinates me. Like, I hate that he fascinates me. It makes me really annoyed that I care about it, but I just can't help but be interested.
But someone said they're like, you couldn't have a normal person achieve what he's achieved in a lifetime. So he has to be a bit weird.
Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Okay, so we put out to the community last week, Vic, about what should we do about this third episode that we're about to introduce? Like, should we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or do Monday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever? And anyway, with the polls come in, 71% of people want us to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is just great news. I feel like that's probably best for us internally too. But if anyone has any issues with this, imagine that we're at the altar at the wedding. For, speak now or forever hold your peace. Yeah, we're going to 3 episodes, which is super exciting. And yeah, I think unless anyone's got any major issues with this, consider it decided.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay, watch this space, everyone. Thank you so much for those who voted. This Thursday on Raising the Curve, I am talking about my second investment, the one that I did with Peter West. So I've been kind of breadcrumbing this for ages and not really given any context for like how I did it, what happened. So we're going to release that on Thursday this week. So if you're interested in learning more about that, subscribe to the podcast. But yeah, have a great week, everyone. And thanks so much for our research, Vic.
No worries.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening so you're always up to date with the latest finance and investing news.
And feel free to leave a comment to let us know what you thought about this episode because we would love your feedback.
We've got new Curve Weekly episodes for you to listen to every Monday. But until then, listen to Raising the Curve. These are our in-depth podcast episodes where we chat about all things money.
We're also around all week on socials if you're hungry for more Curve content, and all the links are in this podcast's show notes. We hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you for the next episode of The Curve Weekly on Monday.
Okay, quickly, The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalised investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.